Today on TNT Big Show, debunking nonsense about the Nintendo Switch 2. All today on TNT Big Show. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Michelle Nantucket.
And this is Sean.
Welcome to TNT Big Show, and let's get right into it. And when the Direct happened, the Nintendo Switch 2 got rave reviews from fans. But then, they went to the website to pre-order, and then they started seeing the price of the system and the price of the games. Okay, the fact that it's $150 more than the Switch, that sucks, because, you know, we all have money problems nowadays. It's $100 more than the OLED. But here's the thing. You're to blame for this.
Yep.
If you voted for Donald Trump, you're to blame.
Tariffs, yeah.
The Switch 2's production price, Trump just didn't put these tariffs in. No, he's been putting them in for a while now. The production cost of the Switch 2 has went up significantly. Secondly, the tariffs that they might still impose in other countries may cause it to go up again.
And not just the Switch 2, the PS5 Pro, the Steam Deck, and all of them, honey.
Xbox.
All of them.
Yeah, it's going to affect all of them. And another thing, you guys obsess over frame rates and resolution so much.
And graphics.
Don't get me wrong, I am looking forward to playing Metroid Prime 4 in 4K 60 frames per second. Or 1080p, 120 frames, I don't know, that may be too fast for me. The fact is that this technology is not cheap.
You guys wanted this. You're like, well, they had to compromise so much. I get tired of Nintendo compromising. Well, they're not going to compromise anymore.
Yeah, another thing, Digital Foundry, shame on you. The Nintendo Switch 2 is not a portable PS4.
No, it's not. That's a lie.
The only thing you're going by, and they haven't been officially confirmed, is the teraflops. You're not taking into account much more modern chips that are much more efficient, more powerful, easier to use. The DLSS, the VRR, the HDR, all of them put in, and you basically get a mini PS5.
Because let me tell you something, folks. If you want to go buy that delusional garbage, go to YouTube. See for yourself. Watch as they compare the Switch 2 to the PS4. The Switch 2 blows it away.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it look shameful.
Yeah.
But now when you compare the Switch 2 to the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, they look along pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Sometimes Nintendo will have maybe just a smidgen better lighting and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're pretty much the same looking. So how can they say that it's PS4 when they look just as good or sometimes just a little better than the PS5?
Especially when you look at Hogwarts Legacy,
Street Fighter 6,
and even Cyberpunk. And Final Fantasy VII Remake is not running on the PS4 version. No. It is the PS5 version that they are using. And automatically, even developers like the man who made Civilization 7 and CD Projekt Red and others have confirmed that the Switch 2 is a lot, not a little bit, a lot more powerful than a Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is a mini PS4, and may I add, it's an excellent mini PS4. I am not sitting here taking a dump on the Steam Deck. I'm not. I'm mad at Digital Foundry and others who should know better for saying this nonsense because the Switch 2 is using much faster memory. NVIDIA says it's 10 times more powerful than the traditional Switch. So that should tell you something right there.
And the people who make Civilization 7 says it's on par with a mid-tier PC.
And a mid-tier PC, modern one nowadays, is a PS5 and an Xbox Series X.
Yep.
There are things you all have to remember. Number one, the Switch 2 has a dock. And this dock isn't cheap. It's coming with a more advanced fan to keep it cooler because some Switches overheated when they came out. Nintendo isn't using the Hall effect, but people who have played with the Joy-Cons and even Nintendo themselves say that they use much sturdier parts and it's going to be harder to make it drift now. So in other words, the controllers cost more. The reason why ticket prices have gone up at movies, budgets have gone up. Theater, having better seats, more advanced movie screens and stuff, that has caused ticket prices to go up. So we are to blame as well. This stuff isn't free.
With the Switch 1, what did you do for voice chat? Your phone app.
Yeah.
You know how many people hated that? They said it was lousy. Oh, the Switch 2, no earphones, no headsets, nothing. It's right from, you talk right into the system.
Yeah.
That's not cheap. Do you want to go back to the phone app?
Yeah, exactly. And get this. You guys want to complain. This is from Business Insider. And they are talking about how much Sony's yearly internet is. PlayStation Plus Essential, $10 a month, $25 for 3 months, $80 a year. And you don't even get everything.
Nope.
To get everything, you have to go to PlayStation Plus Premium. $18 a month, $50 for 3 months, $160 a year.
And how much is the Nintendo Switch 2?
$20 for a year, but you only get the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy, and the NES. Or $50 where you get the N64, the Game Boy Advance, the Nintendo GameCube. You get all these. Oh, well, yeah, you get that in the $20, the Genesis.
Select DLC like Animal Crossing and the rest of the Nintendo Game Boy now on the $20 one for $50. Well, that's it. Price did not go up on the online service.
No, and now you get video chat.
Yep.
Not just regular voice chat.
You have to buy the camera accessory. But honestly, you know what? If you want video chat, it's worth it.
Yeah, but you get video chat now with a Discord-like server where you can talk to your friends in video. That's a great deal, okay? So I'm not saying that it doesn't suck that a lot of our favorite hobby now is more expensive. And that, it's a good thing. No, it's not. But if you want better, you have to pay for it.
Like I've always told Michelle, if you guys want to stick with Spam or McDonald's hamburger, go right ahead. I'd rather have an Outback sirloin steak.
Yeah, and if you want something like that, you have to pay for it.
That's right. Because, let me tell you folks, all these years the Switch, the graphics, well, I want 1080p, well, I want 120 frames per second, well, the Switch don't have it, the Switch, there's so much compromise. Not now.
Yeah.
You got it, so stop your crying, baby.
Like I said, these things are not cheap.
No.
And now it uses express memory, 256 gigabytes, I may add. And that is not cheap. It's basically the portable version of SSD, and SSD is expensive.
Yeah.
Now it only takes Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom around 2 to 3 seconds to load instead of 10 to 12 seconds.
And again, all of you are crying about the game prices. Let me tell you something. Again, it's your guys' fault. Instead of voting for the black woman, you voted for the Nazi. And those tariffs, they're even hitting Sony, Microsoft. You think it's just Nintendo that the tariffs are co-oping? No, it's hitting all of them. So why you just complain about the Nintendo ones? And well, I remind you, for those of you who are not smart enough, that are stupid, or who weren't born, we're going to put up a link to what Super Nintendo games cost.
Yeah.
Killer Instinct, $79. Earthbound, $89.
Yeah.
So this was not from overseas. These were like game stores like Electronic Boutique and places like that.
I remember paying $80 when I got Killer Instinct.
Yep.
That's how much it was at Walmart.
And now you guys are bitching about the $80. And
yeah.
You didn't care about it. And like when Sony was jacking up the price, you were like, oh, well, I want that quality, and game prices are going up anyway. But that doesn't really include the Nintendo, though, right?
I mean, Mirror.uk did an article where they talked about they think really what the problem is because it looks cartoony.
Yeah, exactly. If this had looked like Elden Ring, if this had looked like Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto, people wouldn't have complained a bit because it looks cartoony. No!
Yeah, that's all of us. It's on all of us because now these games' budgets have went up. You want better online. The Nintendo Switch has a modern online finally.
Finally, yeah.
So it can handle 24 racers at once. And here's something. Now this is a rumor. Instead of having to pay for DLC, you may just get all of the content as it goes along, get free updates and stuff.
But that's not confirmed.
Right, but let's say they do that. It'll be worth it. Because instead of paying over $120 for the whole game, you'll be paying $80.
And to me, it's just like, even Reggie Fils-Aimé. That's what really ticks me off. Well, I don't think that new Nintendo review game should be 10. Why not?
Yeah.
Bill Trennan said that there's so much content in it. There's so much, it's worth $10. But how does Reggie know? He doesn't work at Nintendo anymore.
Yeah.
He's never seen that. So how did he know it's not worth $10?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, do I think it sucks that prices have went up? Yeah. But just think about it. A ticket to your favorite basketball game has went up. To baseball, football went up. Movie prices went up. CD prices went up. Streaming services went up.
And I want to make something clear right now. Real clear. If you go out and waste your money, a $2,000 iApple phone, if you go out and waste your money, a high-scale PC with 40,000 gigaboards of graphics and stuff, or if you go out every week to front row seats in WWE or AEW, basketball, hockey, or whatever, you pay thousands and thousands of dollars for all this stuff, yet you complain about a $100 increase on the Nintendo system. Screw you!
I will say that, because maybe you don't need your new $1,000 phone that's released every year. Maybe you don't need that new PC, which, by the way, a mid-tier PC costs about $750 to make, and yet they charge $1,300. I get my online for free and stuff. Yeah, because they already milked you for every dime.
Yeah.
Nintendo is a company. They want to make money. They can take a loss. Shut up.
But, by the way, Michelle, they are taking a loss.
Yeah.
With the Switch 2,
yes,
they are taking a loss.
Because of all the shipping cost and things like that, and manufacturing.
All the extra technology.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's $400. People are like, that's just a rumor. I can believe it because of all the new things in it. Okay, next up, we've debunked it now. The C button. No, you don't have to pay individually to use it. After the free trial, which ends in March 2026, you'll have to need a Nintendo Online subscription. So in a lot of ways, the Switch 2 is cheaper than the Xbox and PlayStation. And if you guys are just going by power to justify, then you're missing the whole point of games, that it's about games. But the Switch 2 is going to be both this time. Isn't this what you guys wanted?
And as far as the game key cards go, I'm sorry, but you guys always complain about when you have games like Mortal Kombat, and then you have to download 32 other megs. And they're like, I hate that. Well, the third parties have said, fine. You'll just use a game key card, and instead of splitting it up, we're just going to get the whole game to download on the card.
Yeah, it's just 4K disc, which is what are used now for Xbox and PlayStation games. And the Nintendo cartridges are more expensive to develop for than what DVDs and CDs were.
I know, but like I said, people are blaming, no, this is not Nintendo's fault. Nintendo said they listened to what the third parties wanted. That's like them replacing the analog buttons with trigger buttons.
Yeah.
Because that's what the publishers and developers wanted.
I think they listened to third parties more on what they wanted this time.
That's because Nintendo wants all the third-party games. Who could blame them?
Right, Furukawa wasn't messing around, folks. He said he wanted every single third-party game. And the wonderful, beautiful Cyberpunk demo that you saw on the Nintendo presentation was made in only 7 weeks.
But it was all on one cartridge.
Yeah.
They didn't need the little game key thing. I don't like those.
Yeah.
I don't, but that's what the third parties want. If you let thinking about it, well, you're still going to put in a cartridge into the system. That's the only way you can play the game. You can't play it without it.
Right.
It may not be fully physical, but I wish they would follow more CD Projekt Red, because if Project Red can do it, other companies can do it.
Because I looked up the value of CD Projekt Red, and it's over $2 billion. Companies like Capcom and Square Enix and Activision and Electronic Arts and them are worth a lot more. Yeah. You guys can put it on one cartridge. Yeah. Especially like Street Fighter 6, which looks like a great game. Street Fighter 6, you guys could have used a 32 gigabyte compression card or 64 like CD Projekt.
Yeah, because they can use up to 64 bits.
Right, like
gigabytes.
Yeah, like CD Projekt Red did. And I'm not saying the Switch 2 is perfect. I'm not saying that this more expensive stuff for a pastime that we love is hunky-dory. What I'm saying is that Nintendo isn't some villain twirling their mustache. Like a lot of YouTubers have just jumped on the bandwagon hating on Nintendo without doing proper research and stuff. The Nintendo Switch 2 has 2 ray tracing cores now in their chips inside of their GPU now. When you look, even over some PS5 games and PS5 Pro games, the Switch 2 has better ray tracing.
Yeah.
Because it's more advanced. It's newer, the technology's better, so Nintendo is using a more advanced 2 separate ray tracing chips. This should make you guys happy because it's going to look on par more with a PC now. You know, and like I said, that VRR, which is going to cause the portable screen to go up to 120 frames per second. How many of you have complained that video games are lagging behind PCs and stuff? Well, Nintendo's one-upping Sony and Microsoft. They are going to have a lot more games that play 120 frames per second games. Metroid Prime 4 is 4K 60 frames per second or 1080p 120 frames per second. And that game is not exactly simple looking.
And my final word to all of you, if you don't like I hate the price of Mario Kart or Kart World. I hate the price of the Switch 2. I hate the price of this. I hate the price of that. Then don't buy it. Let the people who do want to buy it enjoy it instead of you wasting your time on Nintendo websites. I hate this. This is robbery. I mean, you're not going to talk people out of buying it if that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It ain't going to work.
And let's rewind 8 years where people were doubting whether the Switch was worth $300. A lot of people don't remember that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. There was a lot of outrage over the price of the Switch when it was first shown. A lot of people thought it should have been $200 or $250, and then guess what? It turned out the Switch, Nintendo was losing money on it. How much money do you want a company to lose on a system?
And I will say, you're bitching about the price. You know what? You're going to have to suffer through it for 4 years. In 2028, you want the price, not just the Switch 2, but everything to go down? Don't vote for Orange Hitler. Don't!
Or anyone who thinks like him.
Yeah. And those little terrorists will go bye-bye, and things can go back to normal. But until then, you're stuck with it, sweetheart, so suck it up.
Now, suck it up, Buttercup. I'm sorry that if you're poor and everything. But see, my brother and I are both like, are you going to get one? Yes. We're just going to manage our money, save, and then get it. I'm sorry, but if you want something, the reason why the PS5 Pro, in my opinion, is not worth the extra $200, number one, you don't get physical media drive. You do with the Switch 2. Secondly, the Switch 2 is not a little jump.
No.
It is a big jump.
A massive jump.
This thing is 10 times more powerful than the Switch, and it's still only $450. And you also have to think about the fact that the Switch 2 comes with 2 Joy-Cons, but also a dock, which is around $80 sold separately.
With a fan.
And hell, if you're complaining about Mario Kart being $70, $80, something like that, buy it in a bundle. I know it's just digital, but still, you can buy it in a bundle and only $50. I think personally it's a good deal, considering what is all in the system. And I know it sucks that systems prices don't come down now, but guess what? That's because the prices of the chips don't come down.
And that's because of tariffs.
Well, and then just inflation in general.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so if you're complaining about the Switch 2, but not complaining about your vote and how demanding you want games to be and stuff, then you got no leg to stand on.
And if you're complaining about the Switch 2, but you don't complain about your PC, your iPhone, your stereo electronic speakers blasting out of your 4K 29,000-inch TV, then you don't deserve a Switch 2 then.
Yeah, like I said, maybe you don't need another iPhone or another Samsung Galaxy or whatever $1,000 phone or $2,000 phone.
Yeah, exactly.
So enough, you know, I mean, I know it sucks. It does, but that's life we live in now. You voted for a moron who wanted to impose tariffs on everything, and not just some itty-bitty tariff that he did in 2016, which even Biden upheld and said, and it did lower our trade debt, but it didn't make prices explode. That was COVID, you know. But this time, it's huge amounts on everything.
The China tariff is 105%, and Trump said he's going to raise it even more.
Yeah.
It's already at 105 freaking percent. Canada hates us now, and they said they're going to cut off a lot of their businesses. Mexico's going to start doing business. I mean, no, I'm telling you, folks, it's going to even get harder. The prices are going to keep going up. They just start.
Yeah.
So the next time you want, I want to pay cheap for prices for eggs. Maybe you dodo brains should think about who you're going to vote for and do some research.
Yeah, like I said, it's like somebody aiming a gun at their foot, pulling the trigger, shooting their foot, and then blaming somebody else. You shot yourself in the foot. Everything is going to go up in price if these tariffs go through. You're to blame. You want expensive technology to make games look like movies and then complain when they cost more. You're to blame.
Yep.
And I know I'm going to get, you're blaming the customer. Yes, I'm blaming you.
Yep.
Because we have to accept what we want and look at it like, oh my God, maybe just regular great gameplay and stuff would have been worth it.
And I know there are people out there, but you two are stupid. Nobody's buying iPhones like that anymore. Apple is having 600 tons of their new phones airshipped from over China to America. 600 tons! And believe me, they'll sell out with no time.
And another thing, Nintendo doesn't use slave labor.
Yeah, Apple does. Sony does.
Yeah, and the Apple iPhone is $456 to manufacture, and yet they charge over $1,200 for it.
Yeah. So if you can afford that, shut up and buy a Switch 2, or don't complain about it.
Exactly. This is me, Michelle Nantucket.
And this is Sean.
Have a good day. Thank you for staying to the end of the video and watching it. If you like all of our videos, don't you join our other social medias like TikTok, Discord, Reddit, Instagram, Thread, X, and our WordPress blog. You can also support us by joining Patreon for as little as $1 a month, where you will get exclusive content, uncut videos, behind the scenes, watch that trailer, Jack's joke of the week, and my sports input. If you join the $25 tier, I will send you an autographed copy of the Buzzies for free. If you love horror movies and independent content, we're a great place to come and visit because we love supporting other independent creators and stuff. When you support us, you're supporting people who do all of this by ourselves. Me, Michelle, I'm the editor, I'm the director of the videos, I'm the producer, Sean's the executive producer and content creator. So thank you everybody, and please look into supporting our Patreon, as it really does help out. Just $1 a month. Thank you and have a wonderful day.